So I was never able to gradually discover my homosexual tendencies, like most normal, well-adjusted gay youth. And I blame my mother. See, my mother was obsessed with musicals. So by the time I could watch TV, I was fed such a steady diet of Rodgers and Hammerstein, Cole and Porter, of everything from My Fair Lady to Yentl, that I grew to hate them all. And my mother robbed me of the very things that I should have been able to awkwardly embrace, and I was forced to rebel against them. I should have been able to just come down the stairs when I was 7 one idle day, wearing one of her dresses and her high heels, nothing I was showed to. And my father's friends would have stared at me mortified, and that would have been that. Instead, there I was, a gay Jew who not only hated musicals, but specifically hated musicals featuring Barbra Streisand. I decided that I would keep my sexuality a secret, and my parents reinforced that. See, in spite of my mother's adoration for all these things that are part of gay culture, she also told us, if any of my children were one of the homosexuals, I could disown them because it's against the Torah. But I was more terrified of telling my dad than her, because I imagine that a mother kind of knows these things deep down inside. But I imagine a father just thinks of his son bent over, a silver-haired stranger behind him, his son screaming out, "Yeah, you're my real daddy." That's right. And I just didn't want to have that conversation with him, and I knew that was running behind his eyes, so I decided I would just never tell anybody. And as I grew up, sure enough, I was absolutely hard at sports. But I also couldn't dance, I never sang, and I had enough girlfriends where I was able to hold up the illusion. And as I got older and I waded briefly into the short creek of bisexuality and started to come out, cracks started to appear in my plan. One day I came home and my dad said, "Leo, there's a mail for you on the counter." And to my horror, on the counter was sitting a gay porn catalog. Damn it, when I ordered Frat House Studs for it, they promised me it would get anonymous. I tapped into that vast well of acting experience that, in another life would have enabled me to be the lead in the senior production of Cabaret. And I lied. I said, my friends were playing a joke on me. Ha, ha. I love girls. What would I do with a gay porn catalog? It's ridiculous. And through every minor slip-up, I continued to, what I thought, put on a pretty good act, of lying things, denying things, coming up with plausible explanations. But it turns out I was wrong. I found out when I was about 20, the whole family had gathered down in Florida for Passover. It was sort of like the Christmas when we all got together. And we were staying in a hotel filled with religious Jews. And me and my mother were arguing at the pool like we always did. And she turned to my father, "Norman, he's not listening to me. He's ignoring me. He's not putting sunblock on. He's going to get burned. He's going to ruin the Seder. Norman, Norman." And my father, who had just had a heart attack, snapped, once again driven to madness by Sarah Deckelbaum. And my dad grabbed me by the scruff of my shirt and started choking me. And everybody at the pool was staring at us, and I just knew I had to get away from the situation. So I tore myself away and started racing towards the farthest point, which was the boardwalk. And as I got further away, my dad yelled as loud as he could, "Hey Leo, how do you like looking at all those naked boys? Do you think they're hot?" And everybody at the pool, all these Orthodox families, my entire family just stared at me. That night, at the Seder, I drank 2 bottles of wine, and passed out and pulled my own vomit, and flew home the next day. Weeks later, I managed to set up an appointment with my mom's therapist and him, and we sort of got back on regular terms, but we just never talked about it. And later on, one of my friend's parents had passed away, and I began to stop thinking about my parents as these oppressive figures and more as these flawed humans. And flawed humans that I wanted to have a close relationship with, and that he wouldn't be around forever, and flawed humans that I was tired of lying to. And so when I was about 23, I had the opportunity. My dad called me up and said he had tickets to some horrible Jewish thing in Atlantic City. Did I want to go with him? In the past I would have balked at this, but now it seemed important. and it seemed like maybe an opportunity. So I said yes, and the show honestly wasn't as bad as I thought. And we spent all night gambling in the casinos, and my dad won big at slots. And afterwards, you know, we left when the sun was coming up, and we left and went to get some food at White House Subs, which my dad told me are the best tuna subs in the world, and he did. And after walking the boardwalk, I just realized that I never felt this close to him, and that had been a perfect day, and it felt like the perfect time. And in my head, I started going through the mental list of all the things that I've been wanting to say to him, that I've been writing my whole life. I was going to begin by explaining that I was not going to become a Liza Minnelli impersonator. I was going to start wearing chaps. I wasn't going to be someone's bitch or someone's dad. I was looking for someone's daddy. And, you know, I was going to be normal. I was going to have kids. And no, it wasn't mom's fault. And as I started to say, Dad, I have something to tell you. He looked at me and said, I know, and I don't care. And as we walked down the boardwalk in silence together, and the sun started to come up and illuminate the homeless people sleeping on the beach. And all the Jersey Shore rejects turned from walking home from their one-night stands, turned from shadows into orange-skinned silhouettes. For the first time in my life, I knew that everything was going to be okay. And I was finally able to enjoy my first musical.
Regardless of our differences, we can all come together and discuss that the homeless in Jersey Shore trash. I'm a